Is this sun salutes? Definitely includes one aspect of sun salute. Seated here, as I stretch the hamstring, I can in my mind say, this is how I want to stretch my leg when I actually do the sun salutes. And if I don't pay attention to how the leg is stretched here, then in sun salutes, I'll make the same mistake. So as I stretch the hamstring here, primary intention is to take the femur down more, so that I stand and I bend forward in Uttanasana for sun salutes. I don't want to stretch it forward. And in fact, here, lift that left kneecap up. Lift the kneecap completely up towards the top of the pelvis. And when you think you have lifted, stop drawing that conclusion, lift it even more. And as you repeatedly lift the kneecap up again and again and again, you see that you keep breathing normally. Push the heel bone forward. And yet draw the kneecap up in the opposite direction. And again, say to yourself, when I do Surya Namaskar, I want every time I bend forward, I want to keep the leg active like that. And since you have two legs, you compare one leg with the other. And if you find already in Surya Namaskar, it's easier to stretch the left leg, not so easy when I stretch the opposite side. Then in Sun Salutes, I want to be careful how I bend forward. I have to allow for that difference. So this is also a preparation for Sun Salutes. Take the right leg forward, left leg back. And see if you need the same support under the sit bone. Hopefully, it's exactly the same. But if not, then I have to see that there is a distortion built into my pelvis. Again, lift the kneecap as high as you can. Maximize the height of the kneecap. Height meaning towards the pelvis. And if you are not able to lift the kneecap, or the mind doesn't quite understand what that means, do the opposite. Let the kneecap drop towards the foot and then lift it up again. Then towards the foot and lift it up again. The kneecap should be so strongly lifted in this pose where there is no danger of hyperextension. Lift it so strongly that the bottom of the kneecap begins to disappear under the head of the shin bone. When my teacher first told me that, I thought he was joking because it looked impossible. But then he showed me on his leg that it can be done. You need to activate your quadricep in such a way that the kneecap begins to disappear below the head of the shin, or at least moves in that direction. In the process, see how active the whole leg becomes. And again, I want to say to myself that in doing Surya Namaskar, when I bend forward, I want to have the same sense of firmness in both the legs. And if the tightness of the hamstring doesn't allow me to do that part of the sun salutes, then perhaps I should have some support so I don't need to go that far down. So in view of what we have discussed so far, if I ask myself, like, Ramanand, are you doing sun salutes? In a sense, yes. Preparation for sun salutes is sun salutes also. And take both legs forward, Dandasana. Sit as far forward as you can on the sit bones and engage both the kneecaps. Wide foot, narrow ankle, everywhere bring the flesh, the skin very close to the bone, so that if I use my teacher's language, I understand what it means to say, stretch your bones more than the soft tissue. Pulling the kneecap up towards the pelvis, extend the heel as far forward as you can. And if you find yourself seated on the back of the sit bone, then you need to sit higher up. Put some support under both sides. And remember that when the hamstrings are that tight, in doing the forward bend in Surya Namaskar, you have to let the pelvis go back. Fortunately, it almost automatically will. So in Surya Namaskar, if somebody does Uttanasana, it's quite correct to say move the pelvis forward. That should not be done with people who have very tight hamstrings. And I find slowly my right kneecap is dropping, so I pay attention again. Lift both the kneecaps. Whichever kneecap repeatedly lets go, that side is likely to get injured if I don't pay attention to that side in doing Surya Namaskar. Train the body through separate postures, separate different postures, so that when you combine all of them later in Sun Salutations, it is already intelligent. May not be perfect, but there is a definite direction. It's not casual movement.